Hello and welcome back to the show, World War II Books, Where to Start. I'm your host, Jackie Fisher, down here at the Admiralty. I'm designing a new ship. It's going to be all big guns, no mess around, and high speed. It's going to be fantastic. But in the meantime, I'm going to talk about some stuff before the war as a little wrinkle in the format here today. I kind of do hop, skipping, and jumping around history, not just dedicated to the war, but not really deeply involved in any other particular topic ad nauseum like I am World War II, but I do like to be kind of well-rounded and kind of not just a one-trick pony. So today we're going to throw at you 4 different books, hop, skipping, and jumping around the war, and a lot of different fields here, a novel, a memoir, and 2 heavies. So to kick things off, we're going to do The Tsar's Last Armada by Konstantin Pleshakov from 2002, 338 pages, main body text, talking about the epic voyage to the Battle of Tsushima. So the subtitle is going to tip you off right away. It's not a battle history, per se. It's about getting there. The journey is half the ordeal, right? It's kind of like Frodo and Sam going to Mount Doom. It's epic. Pleshakov is Russian-born from Yalta in 1959, emigrated to the States in 1998. So he's working in a second language, and this project must have been very difficult to put together into readable form, being that he had a lot of help from his editor and his agent. He states that in his acknowledgments. But having said that, the writing is still choppy and a lot of short sentences. It doesn't have good flow at all, and I eventually had to discipline myself to read 1 chapter at a time in order to get through this thing, because it can be really off-putting to try to read this language. It's really it's difficult for nonfiction. It's hard to describe accurately, but it's really a really chop kind of thing. So it took me a while to get through it. This is going to concern the diplomatic stuff between Nicholas and Kaiser Wilhelm and the British, as well as the Japanese angle here. We got the Russo-Japanese war going on. We got a revolution in Russia. We've got a fleet of half-ass adequate warships with no easy access to Japan. We can't go north through the ice, so we have to go all the way around. Our fleet in the Black Sea is not allowed to transit the Dardanelles, so we can't use them and take the short route. Our main battle fleet is going to go all the way through the Baltic, down through the Med, through Suez, Indian Ocean, Australia, and then Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, wherever we can touch base for coal. It's really an undertaking. So from that aspect, yeah, it's fascinating. Under the command of Zinovy Petrovich Rozhazevensky, I butchered that to hell and back, and I know it. I'm not good at Russian names. Also known as Mad Dog. We'll just go with that. This guy is a raging lunatic for discipline and flying off the handle all the time. He was well known for throwing his binoculars overboard in fits of rage. So he's always yelling at squadron commanders and ship commanders to about formation and station keeping, cleanliness of the ships, the conduct of officers, etc., etc., etc. Not a good fit, but I guess you can expect that early 20th century. Just not the professionalism we know today in the armed services. So they are absolutely petrified about torpedo boats, Japanese torpedo boats, ambushing them along the way. And they have these false alarms all the way around the Baltic, English Channel, to the Med and beyond. At every turn, they've got this intelligence forwarded to them from their agents all over the world that Japanese torpedo boats are working everywhere, ready to spring an assault on them. It never happens, of course. It's all phantom stuff, and just spies reporting something so they get paid. Your Mad Dog's got no way to really assess this accurately. He has to take every report as a credible threat. But boy, it's just paranoia all the way. They have a bit of an embarrassment attacking some English fishing boats in around the English Channel or off the coast of France because they thought they were enemy torpedo boats, and they kill a few guys and sink a boat. It's a big diplomatic flap. I mean, we've got everything going on here. This is Keystone Cops kind of material, Three Stooges kind of material. So it's worthwhile for that. In retrospect, I'm glad I did read it. Now, eventually you get to the Battle of Tsushima, and it's over, bam, in a blink. So I've got the material on this subject now, and there's not a whole lot available. The thing about Tsushima is that's always mentioned as a touchstone for Japanese naval and imperial policy. You'll always have a reference to it in any Pacific War writing. So I thought I bound and determined to know something about it. Now I do. It was okay. Of course, the big connection here is Yamamoto was at the Battle of Tsushima and was wounded, lost 2 fingers of his left hand. So maybe worthwhile to check out if you know nothing about it, but there may be better material out there. I don't know if I'm going to hunt for it, but there we go. Next up, Castles of Steel, Robert K. Massie. This is from 2003, 788 pages main body text. It's a hefty one. It's a sandwich. It's a meal. Robert K. Massie, 1929 to 2019, from the great state of Kentucky. He made his name for doing bios of European royalty. Peter the Great, Catherine the Great. I think he did one, not Kaiser Wilhelm, but somebody else, English. He did Tsar Nicholas and Alexandra. So this is a bit of a departure for him. I think it's his final book he wrote, and it's absolutely fascinating. So this is a general history of the naval stuff, World War I. Going to hit all the big stuff because that's pretty much what the naval war was, the big stuff. And what gets ignored here is the U-boat campaign. It's not dealt with in detail, just cursorily. We do have 5 chapters on Jutland, so you get plenty of that. You get plenty of the Dardanelles. You get plenty of the Graf Spee Squadron, Coronel, and Falklands stuff, and minefields. The introduction of submarine warfare as a weapons platform, and the outsized egos and personalities of both Jackie Fisher and Winston Churchill, along with the issue with Beatty and Jellicoe. And there's some really good personal stories about Beatty and Jellicoe in here. They're absolutely a hoot. The quirky, eccentric British, right? Yeah, played up to a T. I forget which one it was, but Beatty and Jellicoe had some buttons on their uniforms they're really obsessed about. I can't remember the story now. It's been a while since I read it, but it's a hoot to read. This is really good. It flows really well. Despite its size, man, you'll be wanting to rip through this thing. Massie, when he's on his horse right, he can really take you along for a good ride. Now, kind of a companion book to this is Dreadnought, which is supposedly about the formulation of the design of Dreadnought and the naval arms race, but really is just a whole bunch of royals chitter-chattering back to each other and gossiping for several hundred pages. That was terrible. It was a nightmare to get through. There was one good chapter on the age of sail in the Royal Navy, and that was it. So I do not recommend that. But Castles of Steel, spot on, 5 stars. Wind, Sand, and Stars by Antoine de Saint-Exupery. Again, I'm going to butcher that name. French pronunciation is not my strong point either. Exupery, born in 1900, killed in 1944 during World War II. Circumstances still a bit mysterious. 3 or 4 different Luftwaffe pilots think they shot him down over the Med. No one knows exactly. All 3 or 4 of those accounts have kind of been discredited by expert aviation hunters who are really obsessed with this guy. So we never quite know. He was flying a P-38, the photo reconnaissance version, the F-5B, I think it was called. At the time, he was supposed to be photographing stuff in the Rhone Valley, and he just never made it back to base, disappeared over the Med. His plane was found in the year 2000 and recovered with some bits of identification, so we know it was actually his aircraft. He's best known for The Little Prince, which he wrote in Canada before he went back to fight for the Free French. I have not read The Little Prince. I don't know anything about it. But Wind, Sand, and Stars is one of my top 10 memoirs I've ever read. And it's nothing to do with war. He was an airmail pilot for the French Air Service. I forget what it's called off the top of my head. And that may sound like really dull as dishwater, but his lyrical writing is phenomenal. Carries you all the way through. From his struggles with wind in South America, to being forced down in the desert from bad navigation and running out of gas, to the camaraderie of the airline pilots and the atmosphere of the club kind of atmosphere of not band of brothers, but the brotherhood of pilots in post World War I France. It's absolutely fascinating. It finishes up with a downbeat chapter, which is really at odds with the rest of the spirit of the memoir. He goes down to Spain to get his feet wet with the early stages of the Spanish Civil War. And that's a really downtrodden way to end what is otherwise a very uplifting and really exuberant portrayal of flying. And it really is a jarring note. But he's kind of letting you know that the ideal circumstances of his dream job have ended, and we're about to go down into the shit again. So it's definitely worth reading and holding on to. And I've read it multiple times, and hopefully I can read it multiple times again before I kick off this world. It's that good. It's fantastic. And we'll finish up with Darkness at Noon by Arthur Koestler today. This is from 1940-ish. I think I didn't write down the publication date. It's a very short novel, 260 pages. Yeah, a novel, Darkness at Noon. Arthur Koestler is Hungarian-born, joined the Communist Party in Germany, and then disassociated himself with it later on after he figured out what Stalinism really was, and produced this as kind of a warning. It's grim. It's unreservedly grim. It's dark. It's cynical. It's bitter. And I loved every minute of it. Several times. I read this for a class in college, and I held on to it, and I keep revisiting it over the years. It's phenomenal. It's from the viewpoint of a Soviet agent provocateur, if you will, who is recruiting in Western Europe for the Communist Party in Belgium, I think, or Holland and Germany, and gets recalled to Moscow. Well, we all know what that means in the 30s. You're about to be put on trial. He's put in jail, and over a series of 3 interviews, or 3 interrogations, he is made aware of his crimes against the people and the crimes against Stalin, and he is talked around into confessing these crimes. After adamantly saying, "I've got nothing to confess, I did nothing," he knows better. He knows he's a dead man. But he puts up with the charade as long as he can. The Soviets were famous for not doing direct physical torture. They simply wore you down over time with sleep deprivation and repeated questions, the same questions over and over again, with outrageous accusations, until you just about go insane with it, and eventually you do confess, and then you can put it on a show trial and then killed. So the final chapter here is absolutely a tour de force of writing. Puts you in this guy's boots as he's about to face his destiny. It's beyond excellent. He lived to he was born in 1905 and died in 1983. And unfortunately, he contracted Parkinson's, and he and his wife committed suicide together. A very grim way to go out, but very Russian Soviet kind of thing to do too, in a way, don't you think? That'll do it for today. We had a really wide range of stuff here today. I hope you found 1, 2, 3, or 4 of these you'd like to read. And until next time, I am Jackie Fisher. I can't wait to fight the Germans. It's going to be epic.